Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Power Rangers Season 3, Episode 44 of my show, but this is about Episode 9 of the Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers mini saga segment of Season 3. Now, Episode 9 in the Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers mini saga segment is part 1 in the two-part episode Hog Day Afternoon. But before I start talking about it, I just want to mention, since we're on the first part of this two-part episode, that means this is the second last video of the entire third season. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Anyway, now, I'm sorry I got off topic there at the beginning after I did the intro, but I figured I'd mention that this is the second last video, and I probably will put that in. I'm definitely going to put that in the description for this video as well. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now, getting into the actual storyline, this is History of Power Rangers Season 3, Episode 44 of my show, but this is about Episode 9 of Season 3, and as I said, Episode 9 is Part 1 in the two-part episode Hog Day Afternoon, and basically the way this episode first starts off is it carries over from where Sowing the Seeds of Evil ended. So if you guys remember back at the end of the Sowing the Seeds of Evil episode, Catherine and Tommy got their fragments of the Zeo Crystal, and Rita and Zed tried to bring the Hydro Hog from Aquitar to Earth by sending a transmission beam, but Zordon and Alpha stopped it. Now I'm just bringing that up because the reason I'm bringing it up now is because Rita and Zed are going to do the same thing to start it off, but with a different approach this time. I'll explain more about that later. But basically what happens is, after, what happens is Billy and Zordon and Alpha and the other Rangers are in the command center wondering how much longer it's going to be before the device is complete. Like, because Zordon's asking Billy how much longer it's going to be before his device is complete. He says it's still going to be a while. They have to wait. Billy tells Zordon that they have to wait a while because of the fact that they won't know for sure if it works until Aisha returns with her fragment of the Zeo Crystal. And then when Zordon overhears that part of it, he's ecstatic about that because he said that at last the final crystal, he's happy about them almost having the final crystal because he'll be happy once everything's been turned back to normal. It's been way too quiet, because he says it's been way too quiet. But then Billy kind of says that he's questioning Zordon, like, isn't that a good thing that it's been quiet, which in this case, technically it's sort of a good and a bad thing that it's been quiet, because as Zordon states after that point, he tells Billy that except that Lord Zed knows that they are trying to retrieve the fragments of the Zeo Crystal, and he'll do anything to stop them from getting the last fragment and turning the Earth back to normal. And now, getting into the segment with Rita and Zed, I also should mention, you remember how I said at the beginning of the episodes after, where the episodes that were after Master Vile left, basically Rita and Zed enacted a plan to destroy the command center using an implosion device similar to what Master Vile tried to do in the two-part opener for this segment of Season 3. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up, though, since it's sort of referenced here, because basically what happens is Zed tells Rita, the Zeo Crystal is almost complete. Do you realize what'll happen when they get that final piece? And then Rita said, and then that's when Rita tells them, "Of course I do. The world will go back to normal and the Power Rangers will regain control." And then Zed gets annoyed by that because then he's like, "Unacceptable. Contact Goldar. Tell him to steal the Zeo Crystal once it's completed." But then Rita inquires about because she's like, "Why not just set the implosion generator, wipe the command center off the face of the galaxy, and be done with it?" But then Zed's like, "Because when I finally have the Zeo Crystal in my possession, nothing will stop me." And then Rita wonders about the Alien Rangers, because she tells them, "What about the Alien Rangers, huh? They'll put a kink in his little socket, like a kink in his plan." And that's when Zed basically comes up with... Now, this is sort of reminiscent of the previous video I did, because you remember at the end of the previous video I talked about, which was about episode 8 of this segment of season 3, at the end, Zordon and Alpha stopped Zed from sending a signal to Aquitar in order to contact the Hydro Hog. Now, basically, I'm bringing that up because Zed and Rita are going to basically do that same plan again, because basically what Zed tells Rita is, "Not to worry, my dear. I've devised a way to get the Hydro Hog to come to Earth, but this time, Zordon won't stop me. I'll send out a decoy message for him to chase after. Whereas meanwhile, we'll be..." And then that's when Rita finishes his sentence where she's like, "We'll be sending the real message. Oh, Zed, this time we'll be bringing home the bacon." Which is kind of funny, bacon, because the monster, the creature that they're summoning from Aquitar is known as the Hydro Hog. And a hog is a type of pig, so, big bacon kind of thing. I'm sorry, I just thought I'd get that part out of the way there. Anyway, basically, I'm just going to explain something about Aisha here for this segment of the episode. The portion of the past that she ends up in is a past version of Africa, basically. And when she falls through that portal to there to find the Zeo Crystal, she said that she's definitely not in Angel Grove anymore. And she thinks she better find her fragment of the Zeo Crystal and get out of here. Because the reason why she said that is because she's being chased by a lion, basically. So, well, she's not being chased by a lion, but she's being confronted by it. So, that's what she's saying, that she better find her piece of the Zeo Crystal and get out of here. And then basically, what happens is Rito and Goldar are still underneath the command center trying to find the proper place to put the pieces of the implosion generator, the implosion devices for the pieces for the implosion device to blow the command center sky high and stuff. And then basically, what happens is then it goes into the segment with Rita and Zed, and that's when, well, portion of the Zeo Crystal and get out of here, and then basically getting back into it with Aisha, once she's being confronted by the lion that's there, she's like, "Nice kitty, nice kitty." And then that's when she comes across this girl whose name is Tanya, basically. And then And then basically, what happens is after Tanya helps Aisha get away from the lion, like hide her from it so that it doesn't see her, oh, and then basically what happens is, then the lion leaves, and then after that, Aisha is thanking the girl that helped her, get away from, like, hide her from the lion, and then she says that her name's Aisha, and then the girl that saved her says that her name's Tanya, and she's been watching the lion for a while, making sure that it doesn't hurt anyone, because apparently the animals in the time period that Aisha is in Africa are basically sick. There's some kind of sickness. I'm not really sure, but I do know that much. And then basically that's when Tanya basically tells her that she's not meaning to be rude, but she's wondering who she is and what she's doing here. And then basically Aisha tells her that she tells her her name and that she was sent here to recover a piece of the of a special crystal, which in this case is the Zeo crystal. And then Tanya says that they better take her back to the camp for now. And then basically when Aisha overhears that part of it, she mentions that she's wondering if she lives at the camp, and then she said that Tanya says that she does now because basically in this timeline her parents were explorers, and several years ago they were lost on an expedition, and the local people of the village that she lives in took her in and basically sort of adopted her. And then she mentions about this woman named Shala, who is the leader of the people that she lives with. And that actually is going to play a hand in Aisha's role in the ending portion of this segment of the season and the beginning and in one of the storylines of the next season. I just wanted to get that out of the way. But basically what happens is Tanya tells Aisha that they better hurry because they don't want to be out here beyond nightfall. And then basically she's wondering what happens at nightfall. And then basically Tanya explains about the animals. Some of them are really sick and can be unpredictable, especially at night, basically. And so they basically start walking toward the camp because it's a long way. And then basically what happens is after that, then it goes back into the scene where Rita and Zed are, and then Zed puts the portion of his plan into action to get the Hydro Hog to come to Earth, but first by sending a decoy message. So he sends the first beam, which is the decoy, and then basically Rita is telling him to wondering about when he's going to send the real message. But then Zed explains that, relax, that was just the decoy beam. just the ticket to get old Alpha's circuits all riled up. So basically the decoy beam, which was part of his plan, was a beam for Zordon and Alpha to intercept so he could send the actual one without them noticing. Which tactically, in this case, it makes sense. Because if he sends out a decoy of something and then sends the real one after, then they don't have time to counteract the real one because they're focused on the decoy. But that's just from what I understand from the episode. And then basically what happens is Alpha basically freaks out when he sees on the scanners, because he tells Zordon that Zed's up to his old tricks again. He's detected a transmission beam headed towards Aquitar, and then Zordon tells Alpha that they must take the same precautions they did last time and basically stop the transmission. So he basically does that, and then after the decoy transmission is stopped, basically Rita says that he was right. Zordon's already stopped the beam, and he's got to hurry up and send out the real one, but he doesn't send it out right away because he's like, will you be patient? Our timing to be perfect. Which, in this case, it makes sense that their timing does have to be perfect, because it had to be sometime a little bit after the decoy was sent, but not too long after it was. And then he sends the actual message through his staff, and then he's like, Hydro Hog of Aquitar, appear to me at once. And then the Hydro Hog shows up on the transmission, and he's like, yeah, Zed, what do you want this time? And then Zed's like, finally, a decent connection. And then he basically makes the Hydro Hog a proposition where he's like, Hydro Hog, how would you like to drain the Earth of its water supply and destroy the alien rangers at the exact same time? And then when the Hydro Hog overhears that, he's like, so, you can't get rid of them on your own, can you? And then basically Rita explains that they don't have the power to drain up all the water like at their fingertips like he does for no whoopers. And then basically this is the funny part, because basically what the Hydro Hog says next is actually kind of funny in this regard, because what he says next is he decides he'll do it anyway, because what he says is, what the hey, it has been pretty boring here on Aquitar without the fish rangers to harass. I guess I'll do it. So basically the reason why he's gonna do it anyway is because he's been bored, because the alien rangers aren't on Aquitar for him to deal with. So since they're on Earth, in order for him to deal with them, he has to go to Earth anyways, and in turn also drain water from the Earth in the process. And then when Zed says that hears that he'll do it, he's like, excellent, prepare to leave at once. And then basically the Hydro Hog makes a little bit of a snarky remark where he says, what do you think? I got bags to pack? I'm already on my way. Which, now the reason why I said that's kind of a snarky remark is because he doesn't have any bags to pack and he's already on his way over there. And then that's what I mean, because it's snarky in an ironic way. And then basically when Rita gets happy about that, she's like, what a beautiful picture. 5 alien rangers dried up and shriveled up like prunes. I could cry if I wasn't so happy. And then basically what happens is, after that, basically what happens is, then it goes into the scene where the alien rangers are, and they managed to teleport back to the command center. But when they teleport back, Alpha's wondering what they're doing there because he thought they were rehydrating down by the lake. And then Delphine explains to Alpha that their sensory and perceptions began to detect a danger approaching Earth, which is basically, in this case, basically what they're saying is their instincts were telling them that a threat was approaching the Earth. And then Zordon tells them that their instincts were correct. Zordon tells Delphine that their instincts were correct, and he tells them to behold the viewing globe, and that the alien rangers just managed to miss encountering Rita Zed's latest monster, which was the Hydro Hog, and then one of the human rangers is wondering what that thing is, and then one of the alien rangers mentions that it's bad, very bad, and then I think it's Oracle, he says that it's bad, very bad. And then I think Corcus is the one that says that it's the Hydro Hog. And then Cestro says that Zed and Rita have succeeded in bringing it to Earth. And then basically, so because it's on Earth, the alien rangers decide that they have to deal with it because they can't let an evil being from their world basically suck up all the water on another planet and basically destroy it, just like he has done countless times before. Because basically what happens is, but after that, Zordon asks them if they think that their Battleborgs will be able to help them defeat the Hydro Hog. But then Tidius explains that their Battleborgs have never been able to successfully defeat the Hydro Hog. And because of that, Delphine explains that they'll use the Shogun Megazord, the Shogun Zords if necessary. And she's seen countless worlds fall victim to this deadly predator, and it must be stopped. So they morph to their ranger forms in order to deal with the Hydro Hog. And then when they go to confront the Hydro Hog on the way there, he's like, after they show up, he's like, "Alien Rangers, what kept you?" And then basically, I think it's Corcus, he said that's enough, Hydro Hog, and then basically Delphine says that he will not destroy this planet. And then the Hydro Hog says that, "Who's gonna stop me? You? I doubt that." And he basically, the alien rangers start fighting him. And basically what happens is, because they're fighting the Hydro Hog, which is basically an enemy that can suck up all the water on the planet and the water that's in them as well. What happens is the Hydro Hog touches their bodies, which then causes which causes the water that's inside their bodies to leach out towards them, and he's like, "One freeze try." Now this is actually the funny part, because when they actually start hitting him with their swords a bit, he does this little fake out with them where he says that, "Hey, what's this? I've fallen and I can't get up," because by this point they're at the beach and he's about to suck up all the water on the beach, and he was about to suck up all the water on the beach before the alien rangers showed up. And then the children that are in the lake at that point are watching them fight it, and then they see that the Hydro Hog falls, but one of the alien rangers says that they finally defeated him, and then Corcus says that the galaxy is finally safe, and then basically Hydrohog says that wrong, which, because he was basically bluffing with them, he was pretending to, he was like playing dead to make sure to catch the alien rangers off guard, and then basically he sucks up all the water from Delphine's body, and then after that he sets his sights on the other rangers, and then basically he decides to suck up, after he's drained the water from them, he drains the water from the lake that the children are in, and then basically it might have been Oracle that said this next, but one of the alien rangers, one of the male alien rangers mentions that he doesn't care about them, just leave the children alone, and then basically the Hydrohog, because basically the Hydrohog was like, you don't get it, do you? You've lost this time. In a blink of an eye, all the water on this planet will belong to me. And then he basically uses his power to suck up all the water, and then basically, that's when the Corcus mentions that he doesn't care about them, but just leave the children alone. But then the Hydrohog mentions that, what, the kids? I'm not gonna hurt the kids. I'm just gonna leave them high and dry. And then Oracle, basically is startled by that, and then basically Delphine says that then to just let them come out of the water, and he said that, and then the Hydrohog says that, well, whatever you say. And then basically he does let them come out of the water, but in a different way in this case, because he sucks up all the water that's in the lake, so there's no water in the lake for them to swim in. So technically they are out of the water, but not actually, but it's a funny technicality anyway. And by this point, the alien rangers are still dehydrated, and I'm just gonna backtrack to not to Rita and Zed here, but I'm gonna backtrack to the part with Aisha and Tanya. If you remember, Tanya told Aisha that they have to hurry because they can't be out after nightfall because some of the animals, because of the sickness, they're becoming unpredictable. And then Tanya notices that the sun's going down. And then basically Aisha said that not to worry. But then Tanya tells her that she wasn't kidding. They're in danger. And then basically Billy is telling Alpha to find a source of water for the alien rangers to rehydrate in. But then Alpha says that he's trying, but that Hydrohog is quicker than lightning. Water is evaporating everywhere. And then basically, well, actually the part where that part is actually in the next episode. But basically what happens is Zordon explains to Alpha to have the alien rangers teleported to the Angel Grove public pool in order for them to rehydrate. And he said they'll do it right away, but he just hopes they're not too late. But when he teleports them there, the Hydrohog has already sucked up all the water on the Earth, in the pool, which means they can't rehydrate. And then basically Tommy says that tells Zordon that the alien rangers are weakening, and then he says that he knows, and then basically this leads into the segment with Rito and Goldar. In this segment, what happens is they actually they're actually putting the final pieces of the implosion device in place, and basically after that what happens is the alien rangers are asking for someone to help them, and then basically that's basically where this part stops. So if you guys like this video and what I posted, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys next time for the final episode of the 3rd season. But until then, guys, like I always tell you with this series, may the power protect you always.